I'm going to call the Star City Council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, April 21st, 2026, 7 p.m. here at the Star City Hall, City Council Chambers. Can you please all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And tonight's invocations by Miss Tamara Lee from the Calvary Chapel Star. And are you turning that on, Ryan, for us? Thank you.
I'm short, so let me do this. Lord, we come to you with a heart of gratitude, Lord, for this city, for its people, and Lord, for those that are called to serve up here. God, we pray for wisdom, one that listens well, one that does what is right. God, we pray for just a spirit of unity in here. Where there may be differences, Lord, we pray for respect. God, where there are challenges, Lord, we pray for the clarity to make the right decisions. And God, I pray that there would be peacemaking. God, that it would be not just of word, but of action. And Lord, we pray for these decisions. God, that they would be of sound integrity and that they would be committed to those that live here, work here, and call this beautiful, awesome, amazing city home for my generation and my kids' generations to come. We thank you. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Miss Tamara Lee. All right, we'll move on to roll call.
Day.
Here.
Wheelock.
Here.
Salmonson.
Here.
And Nielsen he's trying to get back to the state of Idaho from his work travels. And so he's got hung up in Washington. So he may show up late, just so everybody's aware. If he walks in, that's why. Okay. All right. Well, Chief, I think you have an annual and a monthly report, or? Yep.
All right, Mayor, City Council. I am Tim Haynes. I'm the Chief of Star Police. I thank you for the opportunity to present the reports tonight. I'll have two things I'd like to go over. First will be our March report and then the annual report for 2025. If we go to the top, you'll see offenses reported. Right now, we're running at 103 for the year so far. It's on track to be slightly above what we were at this last year. But if you'll notice, and I'll go over this in the annual report too, if you go to the bottom of the 2025 column, you'll see that our adjusted NIBRS number is 13. Our preliminary number was 11.8. But as cases clear and get reported to the federal government, we come up with our basic number, the number for the year. If you go to the top right, you'll see case report types. That defines what is a person's property or society crime. We have 11 person crimes, 11 property crimes, and 9 society crimes. Directly underneath that is police activity, which shows that for the month of March, we had 358 calls for service compared to 2,248 proactive calls by us. That is a ratio of 6.27 to 1. Slightly lower than we generally like to see it, but we're working down 3 deputies this month due to training. One person's on FMLA and another person was out for baby leave. So those numbers are going to pop back up here this coming month. If you go down to select call types, you'll see we had a massive jump in juvenile activity. I attribute a lot of that to the weather, just because things are nice outside, kids are getting out, and we've had a lot of e-bike issues lately, which we're trying to deal with. You'll run down to school checks and see that number is 35. The reason that number is going down is because now that we've got SROs at the school, it puts less load on the patrol deputies to go out and do those school checks. So the SRO's presence at the school is actually the school check that we're looking for. And you'll see 450 traffic stops. There's a corrected number from our grant report, which we have to file for the grants that we receive, which shows 499 total traffic stops. The missing stops from this report, that extra 49, is from stops that began in Star and then went outside city limits as they completed the stop. So those aren't always included. We'll use the GIS survey data to figure out where this stuff is occurring. Number of arrests for March was 9. We had a large drop in drug-related arrests, which is pretty common. It's like when we had that spike of 20%, generally that's an indicator to people that STAR is getting really active. So they drift outside city limits, start using other roads. We can expect that number to come up as other cities start to increase their enforcement efforts. 3 mental holds, and you'll see that our code 3 response times are well within our goal of under 4 minutes at 2 minutes and 29 seconds within city limit, and 3 minutes and 8 seconds outside city limit. With that, if you have any questions about the month of March, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Chief for March? All right. Did you have a question? Dave?
Not for March,
Okay, all right. Go on.
just in general.
Annual report, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The message from, well, me, I'll let you read that on your own time, but I'd like to point out a couple of the highlights we had for the year. We began our juvenile detectives, which are our SROs. Takeuchi was already here. We added Prather to the list, who is fully funded by the city of Star, so he remains with us year round. We've got 2 incoming patrol deputies. The city of Star for this current contract chose to add deputies. We've got them coming in a little ahead of schedule. One actually started Sunday, and it's Henderson, who worked in Star previously, and then we'll have another one starting at the beginning of May. And then finally, the reason I'm here instead of Chief Deputy Hessing is because he promoted. So that was one of the other large changes for the city police this year, is that change in leadership. We go crimes per 1,000, which I referenced in our March report, 13 crimes per 1,000 residents. It's a good number. I would like it to be a little bit lower, but it's well below 18, which is what we're trying to get at. And you'll see that it actually even matches, it beats our number during COVID. We have a 77.7% clearance rate, well above the average in the state of Idaho. So that's indicative of the good work of our detectives. If you go down to crimes by type and severity, if you add these numbers up on your own, you'll find that there's a difference. Like, for instance, in person offenses, it says 116, while if you add them up, that's 97. And it's because there's a difference in the way they tabulate those between cases and offenses. A case is one incident. An offense is each individual victim within that incident. So there's going to be a difference between those numbers. But for person offenses, we see 116. Property is 53. Our dispatch call summary, and this is our overall ratio of proactive versus dispatch calls over the course of the year. We're at 7.35 to 1, which is right about where we want to be. And I'd like to also direct your attention to that total numbers, 28,663. That is busy for a city this size. Our emergency responses are average generally for what we'd expect to see. We saw that there was, if you go to call activity, you'll see that there is a big jump in juvenile issue calls. It went from 190 to 238. That's a big difference. And it can mean a lot of things. Mostly, like, for instance, kids being out of school. Families are moving into the city and they're bringing their kids with them. And then traffic crash calls, we saw a jump there, and it doesn't seem like a huge jump. It's only 20, but it's indicative of population growth that's going on within the city. 25 mental holds for the year, 108 total arrests for the year. If you go down to commission training and specialties, it's a list that would take forever to go through, but I would like to point something out, is that we have DUI instructor, an EVOC instructor, an EVOC master instructor, firearm instructor, a general topics instructor, patrol training officer, and speed device instructors. That means that we have a lot of expert knowledge in this city. Like, they've moved beyond just the basic knowledge of how to do it, and they're out there teaching other people to do it. So not only is that something they're bringing into the city of Star, that's something they're sharing back with Ada County as we go back out and train people how to do it. For instance, Levi Glenn, one of our deputies, has just spent 2 weeks teaching DUI to brand new people. He's an expert in that field and a phlebotomist on top of that. So when he gains knowledge in the city of Star and shares it with everyone else, we benefit from that. Fiscal year budgets. There are some big numbers in here. Boise, $389.96 per resident is the cost of their policing. Go to Garden City, it's $395.41. The city of Star is $161. We are 58.7 below the city of Boise. We are 59% below the city of Garden City in what we're offering, like the cost per resident for policing. And that comes with everything that the county is offering. So when STAR signs their contract, that's essentially what they're doing, is getting this amount of service for a fraction of what these other cities are paying. And then you'll see the net contract is $3.6 million, and that's inclusive of all the supplementals that occurred during the year. I believe there were two of them where we added a juvenile deputy and we added code enforcement. And if we hop up, we see code enforcement's activity for that year is 284. So we just started a brand new code enforcement officer in 2026, and that's why his name is not up here, because Cameron Stewart promoted to patrol, and he's going through the academy for that right now. Hopefully we can get him back one day, but we just added Tim Zins, who I'm not going to lie, we basically poached from the city of Kuna because he came in experienced and could just start working. And I am happy to answer any questions about the yearly report.
All right, Councilman Day, did you have a question on this one for him?
No, not on this one.
Oh, the way he said it the last time, I thought he had a question on this one. Sorry. Okay. Anybody else have questions for Chief? No, thank you, Chief. Appreciate the reports and stuff on there.
Mayor Chuck.
You do have a question?
Well, just a general.
Okay.
So first off, thank you for all the hard work that you do and your officers do.
Of course.
I see you guys out there working hard every day. We, as a council and the mayor, get a lot of emails and stuff about speeders and this and that. And I can see that our officers are out there doing the work because I'm out and about every single day. And so I wanted to ask if you could explain for people that may not know, what's the difference between an infraction and a citation or a misdemeanor?
Okay, they can both be done with citations, but an infraction is generally going to be related to traffic violations, and that's what we'll deal with. There are other types of infractions. We don't generally write those. The misdemeanors, which can also be on a citation, can be traffic, but they can also be other society crimes, like marijuana possession is a misdemeanor, so we would write a citation for that. But when you see our infraction numbers, they are, for the most part, almost certainly going to be related to traffic problems. So yeah, infractions are generally related to traffic.
Well, with you guys being 3 officers down, these numbers are outstanding. So people in Star are safe, and for anyone who thinks that these officers aren't pulling over the speeders coming through our town, which I've been told by others, it's completely false. The numbers are down drastically from February to March, drastically. So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
The word's getting out.
Well, I'd just like to point out that when I run my numbers and I see 140 infractions written in March with 450 stops, that means we're citing 31% of the people we stop. Those numbers are generally high because we prefer in the sheriff's office and Star Police to use education rather than punishment, right? It's a carrot versus the stick. But if we're writing those citations, it's because we're encountering repeat offenders, scofflaws, people who are refusing to obey, and we have to direct our resources at them. But generally speaking, when we receive a complaint of traffic, we have a few tools we can use. We've got speed trailers that we can put in locations, and we've got a list on our wall of all the different places that we park trailers. Every single resident in this city and every single neighborhood in this city is entitled to the use of those trailers. And so we can't dedicate them to one specific area. We need to move them around so everybody has an opportunity to see what's going on. And then we can download the numbers from those trailers and see what the actual speeds are. In a couple cases, I can think of times that in specific neighborhoods, we've put unmarked units, and my only instruction to them was to log, unless you see something that's an absolute danger to public safety, log every single speed so we can get raw data. And in one case, we had 2 different unmarked units go out 2 different days and find that the average speed in this neighborhood was within the law. There were occasional people going slightly over it, but it was not hitting the speeds that the public thought they were hitting. One of the issues we have is when, and this is true for someone like me also, that's been trained to estimate speed. If you're standing still, a car going 15 miles an hour looks like it's racing down the road. If I had a magic wand, I would make the residential speed limit lower. But it is at 20 miles an hour in a lot of these neighborhoods, and people are driving generally at that speed, and the people who are exceeding it are rare rather than constant.
Some people see what they want to see. Yeah, so anyway, thank you
Of course,
for explaining that to the people watching at home and everybody here. I appreciate it.
sir.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, anything else for Chief?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
So I thank you for all of this. On your yearly review here, you have a code enforcement number there. And that's the first time I've seen a number for code enforcement. I wonder, how long have we had? A year and a half?
Yeah, this is the only time though that we've been tracking the code enforcement, I believe.
I asked them
Started
to
in
begin
January.
tracking code enforcement this year.
Yeah, so you're starting to track it?
Yes.
now? Okay. Because maybe if we had that information on our, if we could get it on our monthly report. Because I know like sometimes people think that we're not, doing that code, like the city too, like yards or whatever, but we are starting to do that. So it might be nice just to have that report as well. Just a number.
Are you asking for it to be on the monthly report?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Because we started
Gotta find a spot.
really enforcing it
I'll find it.
maybe a year and a half ago. And we have somebody again, right?
Oh, we have Tim, yeah, we have Tim, who's very experienced.
Okay, all
with this.
right.
And what he said is we poached him basically from CUNA, but he really wanted to be here anyway.
Yes, he wanted to work in Star, so,
Okay.
So it's a beautiful
All
thing.
right. Yeah,
He's got a lot of
fantastic.
experience.
but yeah, I won't have any issue adding that to this.
Okay.
All right, any further, you got a question?
Yeah, now I'm curious what the 284 represents. What kind of code does that mean? Is that a citation? Is it a touch point with the community? What
No, that
is
would
the
be
280?
code enforcement of any type. So a complaint comes in for a code violation. For instance, there was a resident that had vehicles parked on the road illegally, had some issues with his yard. Tim Zins, this coming year in 2026, when I present that one, it will be included in his stats of his contact with that individual. And to be clear, when Tim Zins goes out and meets with somebody about code enforcement, he's not going out as a heavy-handed code enforcement officer. His goal is to work with somebody and find a solution to the problem because he values people's rights to do with their property as they please, but within the code that the city has set for the safety and welfare of everyone in the city. So generally, when he goes out, and if necessary, he'll go out with a deputy, they will discuss where the code is falling short and work on it there, and then give the person time to fix whatever deficiencies there are.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right, any further questions, Chief? That's most questions. We can't ask questions from the audience, sorry, on that. But he can talk to you one-on-one about it, so, all right. Thank you, Chief, appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have Michelle come up here and give us our treasurer's report. Mark. Right,
All right, city council members, Mayor Chadwick. The second quarter financial report provides a snapshot of the city's fiscal health as of March 31st, 2026. The city has collected approximately 14.2 million in revenue, which is 53.5% of the total budgeted for the year. We're on track for our revenue goals at halfway point. Key points, our property tax revenue, we've collected 1.43 million, which is 65% of the projected amounts. Building fees, we're at 2.7 million, which is 53%. Our impact fees, we've collected 4.36 million, which is at 54%. And then our general fees, which are close to 212,000, that's 118% of our projected amounts. On the expenditure side, the city has spent 11.94 million That's sitting at 45% of our projected budget, or our total budgeted. This prudent spending reflects careful management and leaves room for future needs.
Huh?
Just,
Yeah, that one right there.
yeah, that's the expenditure.
Okay, go ahead.
part. Key points would be like our parks development, while we're at 74% of the budgeted amount at 3.79 million. Our personnel services are only at 48% of the budget. Our buildings and grounds are at 38.37% of the budgeted amount. Sports and rec, also 44.34% of the budgeted amount. So overall, our city's financial position is stable and our revenues and expenditures closely align to the budget.
And when you look at the, I don't know if you mentioned the property tax thing, the only reason that's there is because of the acquisition of property that we had to pay the property.
Correct. Correct.
So,
There is a note at the bottom of that.
Yep. she got to start. All right, any questions for Michelle?
Mayor Chadwick.
No,
Um,
Councilwoman, sorry.
So in the revenue section, can you explain what is under that general fees? Only a couple of items in there. What type of items? General fees?
Yeah, I got to think.
Trying
I got to think. I'm
I
sorry.
just looked at this and I'm drawing a blank.
Okay.
I have
Well, you
it.
can get back to me then.
I'll get that to you in the
Yeah.
morning.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Miss Michelle. Appreciate it.
Thank you, we're on.
Dog
Oh,
licenses,
people
passport
are
fees.
registering their dog, passports.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so that, yeah, so that's not general license.
No.
That's building stuff.
Yes.
General licenses are.
General licenses and, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
all right, we're going to move on to, thank you, Michelle. We'll move on to public comment. The only one that signed up for public comment is Mark. Sure. Yeah. Everybody else signed up to be in attendance, and that's not what it meant to be, so.
Sorry about that. Mayor Chadwick, the amazing council and your staff. I normally don't stand and speak when I visit other councils, but a couple of things the chief said that I wanted to respond to. The first is as it relates to ticketing through Star, I found out firsthand that you don't speed through Star. So
Good. Did you
anybody
get a
else
ticket?
trying it, just take it from me, not a good idea.
Did you get a
But-
ticket?
What's that?
Did you get a ticket?
I won't respond.
If you did, I'm just glad we collected something from Middleton.
Well, touche. But the main reason I'm standing here was the mention of e-bikes and our friends over in Eagle, particularly Mary May and another council member, I can't think of his name right now, but they do either a quarterly or a monthly coffee type community discussion. And I attended it and they had quite a conversation with regard to e-bikes. And so coming here and standing here, I don't know what has been discussed at the council level here. And I am working on that, going to be working on that in Middleton. But the chief of police and the fire chief in Eagle were both in attendance at that meeting and we had a lengthy discussion on it. And it's become quite I don't know if I'd call it an epidemic, but it is a challenge
Yep.
to police and control. And the kids are kids, right? We all loved our bikes growing up and doing all the things that kids do, but how do you regulate it was the main question. You can't, if you put a code in, you're going to pull them over and give them a ticket or what are you going to do?
I know the state tried to address this year too, and I'm not sure if I don't know if it passed. Do you know, Chief, if it passed on e-bikes?
Mr. Mayor, I'm unaware of any new codes that passed, but existing codes are actually pretty good. It's just a matter of catching up to them.
Yeah, so, I witnessed a couple myself, in the conversation. The point to my being here is just more public awareness. It isn't just in Star or Middleton or wherever, Meridian. It's becoming quite a challenge and we don't want any of our youth to be harmed. And so just if you're not, aware or I'm sure you're aware, but if you've got anything that you've got cooking like I'd love to hear about it for our city of Middleton and join forces with those.
Sure. And I will just say that every month on the third Wednesday, whatever tomorrow is of the month, I have a town hall here for 2 hours.
Mhm.
And quite often the e-bike conversation comes up that gets discussed in that too, on how they handle it. So if you want to come tomorrow, I mean, it might come up in
I
that.
can't tomorrow, but
So, maybe
Thursday,
next month, yeah.
it's on Thursday, maybe I could. Anyway, some of the ideas that were tossed out is code enforcement, but that's hard to do. Talked about getting sports heroes, local heroes to come and talk about the safety with the young people. And just things along those lines to try to stimulate them to make choices on their own. Anyway, thank you for allowing me to speak in front of you. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. All right. That's all that signed up to speak. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman?
I move to approve consent agenda consisting of 6A, the approval of claims, and 6B, approval of minutes for April 7th, 2026.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Solomon, a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Day,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Simonson.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item 7, our public hearing for the downtown visioning plan. We have our consultants here who'll come up and state their name and address. Who's talking? Are you? Wow. You drew the short end of the stick?
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mike Williams, 2002 Vista Avenue in Boise. And it wasn't a short end of the stick. I actually volunteered.
Oh, good.
I mean,
Thank you.
Jim asked, he said, "Are you doing a presentation or am I?" And I said, "I'll do the presentation." So I don't mind.
Awesome. Thank
Doing
you
the
there,
presentation.
sir. Steelhead fishing must be over.
Steelhead season is over. My steelhead season is usually over in February.
Oh, okay. All right.
Salmon season's coming though.
All right. The floor is yours. We're not going to time it. So you,
Ryan back there told me yesterday I could have at least an hour.
yeah.
I said 15
Yeah.
minutes.
I didn't mean to throw him under the bus. Thank you. You heard 15? So when I do my presentations, I don't stand up here and read my PowerPoint slides. You have the PowerPoint in front of you. If you want to go through that PowerPoint clear and later, that's fine. I like to have a conversation with the council or the board or whoever I'm presenting to. So South Beck and Baird, the city had reached out to South Beck and Baird to look at possibly doing a downtown revitalization plan. We're going to follow up, just expand essentially on the 2011 plan that was completed years ago to expand on that downtown revitalization plan. To get into coordinated strategies, physical improvements, the unique city and everything else. What we found as we moved through this downtown plan, the 2011 plan, and the one thing that did get completed was a sidewalk on Main Street. So we all know since 2011, we've seen a huge amount of growth. And I will tell you, I was a city planner up until 2 years ago, so I was right in the battle with all of you. So I understand what growth has done to us and as we've expanded. So as the city grows, the downtown, we looked at the Star downtown, and what came to light is we're looking at the opportunities and constraints with downtown. You have a lot of old buildings in downtown. You have a lot of new buildings, but they're essentially not in the downtown. And first of all, what is downtown Star? Because essentially what you have is a highway corridor and Star Road. And on that highway corridor, you have some pretty intensive highway uses, drive-throughs, grocery stores. I mean, you have a grocery store at each end of town, banks. We heard lots, when we were going through the open house process, we heard lots about pizza places. But you have that high impact, high traffic impact commercial on both sides of your what you're trying to recognize as a downtown. I mean, the Merck's downtown, you have a trailer, Blake Trailer. I grew up here too. Blake Trailer's been there forever. I mean, I've been here all my life. And so what we wanted to do is we essentially want to identify the areas where targeted investments as well as policy changes and design improvements can help you guys achieve your community goals and move the city forward. So first open house, online survey. Boy, was that interesting. And I have to give it to the city of Star. I have been myself as a planner when I was a planner for a sister city, really close to you folks. The amount of involvement for Star was unbelievable. I've sat through a lot of open houses and I don't think I've ever seen anything. 500 people, really? It was great. And in the online surveys, we gathered a lot of information. I shouldn't just say we, you gathered a lot of information. Your staff, as we worked through this and working with your staff was amazing. They had to go through the online surveys. We did learn something with online surveys. If we ever do another online survey, it's not going to basically say, write what you think. We're going to have like 1 through 5 because it makes it easier to make determinations, graphs, what your strengths and weaknesses are. Here's what we heard, and we heard this loud and clear. We heard it on the online surveys. I was at the open house myself, and I thought, people are not going to show up until 5 o'clock, 4 or 5. When we opened that open house, and what was it, Mayor, 2 or so? There was like 100 people within the first 45 minutes. So it was great. So what we heard, loud and clear, the existing downtown is dominated by traffic. It is. If you look at what, you kind of think of what your downtown is, it is a state highway. And then you have Star Road. Star Road's basically an arterial. It's recognized as an arterial. There's not as much commercial on Star Road today, but I imagine when it is widened to 5 lanes, you're probably going to see more commercial with reduced access. So what we heard is the existing downtown, I'm going to read through these because these are really key. The existing downtown area is dominated by traffic, difficult to access, and not pedestrian friendly. Not pedestrian friendly. If you want to be on one side of the street, you're fine. If you want to cross the street, that's where the problem lies. Residents desire a walkable, visual, cohesive gathering place designed for people first. Residents want to preserve the small town character, increase green space, and have a designated outdoor space to gather. Wow, that's strong. People have moved to Idaho, moved to Star, and that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that small town feel. That's what Idaho's been. That's what we are. Residents need more restaurants and no additional drive-throughs in downtown. If you look at your architectural overlay design book, that's a great little manual. I bet you I've read that thing 4 or 5 times. And you look at that overlay district that literally stretches from Highway 16 out to Canada. But it's all solid commercial. And outside of the core, and we're going to get to the core of this in a minute, as far as where your districts are, outside of the core on some of those areas, it makes sense to have the drive-throughs there because they're set up for that kind of design. But as you get in closer, where we've recognized the new districts, you don't want all that. Because that takes away your walkability. It takes away your sense of place. And what you're trying to do is create that sense of place, walkability, so people are comfortable when they're in your downtown. Downtown amenities such as benches, bike parking, lighting, and streetscapes are important. Existing roadways and parking areas are not sufficient or adequate. That's obvious. And residents want their community life to be visible and active. Residents, some of us want to get outside of the house and just go downtown and hang out, create that sense of place. So based on the feedback that we received from the online surveys and that first open house, because when we walked in the first open house, we did dots, what people liked and disliked. Boy, was that an eye-opener. You were there. You saw the dots. Even when it came to architecture, that was an eye-opener too. But those dots spoke volumes. And what we determined, instead of, trying to create this central business district it's just a one size fits all, it's not going to work. We came up and this is what we heard. Let's shoot for districts and establish separate districts. And that was all based on community input. And the community, I mean, they spoke volumes. They were even emailing us after the public open house, during the surveys. I mean, after when we got together with the stakeholders, we were receiving emails. So this is what we came up with. The overall districts and corridors map. All right, Sean. So starting off, this is your Highway 44 corridor, Star Road corridor, or this can also be called the State Street corridor. Then you go to the Art District, the Village District, and then down to the River District, and then the Star Road corridor, of course. Again, that runs the entire length of Star down to where the Main Street comes off of Star Road there. So we did a market assessment. There are communities out there in the state who have gone through this same exercise, the exact same exercise. So we looked at 4 communities. The demographics are fairly similar to Star. In fact, if you look at them, if you look at Cuna, Mountain Home, Haley, and Ammon, and one thing they all have in common. What do they have in common with Star? Yes, they pretty much have a highway running through them. So part of that analysis, when we looked at the analysis, is what kind of tools are they using to achieve their goals that were associated with their study? They're using urban renewal districts, local improvement districts, an LID, business improvement districts, which is an LID, which is similar to an LID, only it's businesses. And when you're looking at the improvement districts, that's something that has to be voted on by the people who are going to be in that district, because they're basically setting themselves up to be taxed so they can do improvements within their area. Integrate the downtown vision in the comprehensive plan to guide policy investment. We're going to hear that again in a minute, because they took their comprehensive plan, they amended their comp plan to find goals, do goals and policies that help with implementing that plan. And wow, establish district-specific design standards to ensure cohesive development. And Councilmember Solomon, I know you work with design review fairly closely, and you already have an architectural design book, and it's really short, it's very simple, and it gets to the point. That's what I like about it. When we get into the districts, I'm going to go into that into a little bit more depth. Designate and hire an economic development coordinator. And everybody says, it's another staff. They can work wonders for you. Economic development coordinators, if they're doing their job properly, will pay for themselves by writing grants, because that economic development coordinator, not only are they out there chasing the right businesses for the town, they're also helping the businesses that are already existing to help them survive. But as part of that writing grant process, if you're awarded a grant, there's this little thing called administrative fees. And depending on the amount of the grant, those administrative fees are based on a percentage of the grant that goes to whoever is administering that grant. So a good economic development person, if they're doing their job properly, you want them administering the grant, so all those fees roll back, they will pay for themselves just based on those fees they're receiving. Doesn't prioritize pedestrian-focused improvements, enhance walkability, and maintain coordination with businesses, residents, and regional partners. This is all was what these 4 cities have completed or working on to implement their downtown plans. So after doing a market analysis, after going through the first open house, and Mayor would probably tell you, I could barely walk out that night. My feet were so sore and standing a long time. But there was a lot of people that came through. That's when we came up with the districts, because we heard it loud and clear. So did the market analysis. We come back to the open house. We had a second open house, and we felt by having a second open house, then we're going to show, instead of putting everything out there for everybody to vote on. We wanted to show the community, all right, this is what we heard now. Is this what you were thinking? Because we wanted to have one more open house so we understand what the citizens are thinking to see if they felt we got it right. I will say the second open house wasn't nearly as well attended as the first open house. The one nice thing is it's part of everything. Your PIO, Sean, everybody, your websites, and everybody who was on the committee did a good job making sure all of the information was get disseminated to the public. So I think possibly that might be why the second open house wasn't as well attended, because they already could see, yep, this is what we're talking about. So what we heard at the second open house: focus on the level of detail regarding infrastructure in a specific area. And when we get into focus on the infrastructure in a specific area, one thing we were showing was parking areas, and parking's going to come up quite a bit. The one troubling thing is when you're identifying a specific area for a parking area, what if you have a development that comes in and wants to take in a fair size area? You got this parking set up here, but they can, the way the development is set up, they could actually get you the parking that the city needs and serve their development, and it may be somewhere else. So to provide flexibility, still give you the ability to address your parking. You're just not nailing it down to a specific spot. Parking areas should be identified in the future to address residential concerns, and residents want their community life to be visible and active. It goes back to River District's going to be visible and active, Art District, Village District, Star's going to be up, the Star Road District is going to be right up against Star Road. But we'll get to that and we'll show you how that can be active with pedestrians. So let's get to the corridors. State Street Corridor. It's a highway, but some of the key features of that is to get a park and gazebo somewhere within that generalized area that's close to that corridor, if not in that corridor. So if somebody wants to sit down, chill, or just enjoy being there, it gives them somewhere to hang out. Pathways that lead to that. Parking lots and restrictions on new fast food outlets, drive-throughs, gas stations, auto repair services, or car washes don't belong here. You have all kinds of heavy commercial right outside this area, right outside this corridor, that either has that or they're set up with the proper zoning to go ahead and implement those in those places. Those are destination places. Those are very destination. Not saying that your districts aren't going to be destination, but it's destination for a different reason. No apartments development should be allowed unless they're part or multi-use building with residential units above. What drove this plan? We know what drove the plan. We know what happened in the city of Star. We knew what was brought forward. And it was an eye-opener. And that eye-opener is, let's figure it out so we can come back, set up a plan so we have something to hang our hat on. And something that when we make a decision, we can base that decision either on a comprehensive plan, on a zoning, or on a plan. If you're going to do multifamily, I'm not saying you couldn't do multifamily here. Put some commercial on the first floor. And then maybe offices, if you go to a 3-story, I cringe when I say that, Mayor. If you go to a 3-story, you could have retail commercial on the first floor, office on the second floor, and maybe some residential on top. That way you don't have to worry about the parking quite as much. If it's downtown, you have parking areas. And council member, if you have a parking area, people benefit, the businesses benefit when you can park in one area. You're going to go to the one business you want to see anyway, but there might be someone else that's just like, you know what, we're down here now. Let's go hit the restaurant, or let's go to the little shop. Let's go have coffee. The continuation of Mountain Modern design standards as representing the architectural overlay district guidelines should apply to new structures. I think the city of Star, I believe the city of Star, I will tell you, I can speak from experience with this, from working for a sister city. And if any of you know my wife, she is the design review lead in that sister city. So I understand design review, I understand architecture and the importance of architecture. State Street Corridor is designated as a medium to high impact area, medium to high. So you might be looking at a little bit taller buildings. Also looking at the commercial, maybe office, maybe residential, or looking at commercial with residential on top. Should be prioritized in parking lots, maximizing retail space and avoiding an asphalt jungle along State Highway 44. Pull those buildings. I mean, when you're driving down, and we're going to show you a couple slides. Sometimes you look at that, you can just go, whoa, but by pulling them buildings up to the street and getting those plaza areas, you get the wide sidewalks and everything that benefits the businesses. But what that does, it allows you to hide the parking behind the building. So you're not driving down a street looking at a sea of asphalt. Proposed uses in here. I kind of looked at this slide. I've looked at this slide quite a few times. I'm thinking, now wait a minute. We're on a highway, but no. It is the highway, but it's the highway district. And once we get outside of the heavy commercial, we want to start reducing those uses down to where it's back to creating that sense of place. So it's creative and cultural uses, retail and artisan, food and beverage, personal professional services. I mean, i.e. the attorney, the engineer, and the barber, beauty. I think they call them salons. I'm showing my age now. But those kind of uses that generally serve the public. Civic and community uses, education and childcare, live work. Look at that closely. Live work and residential. Small scale commercial and business services. So driving down 44, I mean, could be something similar to this. You might not be looking at 3-story, might be looking at 2-story. Sean, I was speaking with Sean the other day, I think it was yesterday. 60 feet is your maximum height. And I'm looking at this going, 60 feet, wow. I can look at those buildings right now, and I'd venture to say, just based on my experience of dealing with buildings in downtown Eagle, if any of those are at 50 feet, it would surprise me. Am I wild about 50? Am I wild about 60? I can't say that I am unless it's designed right. Personally, I like, if you look at the one towards the left, you have 3 stories going up, and then it's kind of like the building behind it. But that, well, the one on the right's a better example. I mean, look at that. You could have your commercial on the base floor, right above it, maybe do office or residential, but see how that tears? It takes away that wall look. Here's some other examples for State Street Corridor. A few of these right now, in my mind, have Star written all over them. I mean, look at the D&B. Look at the one at the bottom left-hand corner. Even the 2 on the left. The top one might be a 3-story, but that's one in the middle on the left-hand side. That's a 2-story building, and that could easily be commercial on the bottom, residential on the back, on top of the little patio, or even a restaurant on that second floor with the patio area. Star Road Corridor. We all know what's going to happen to Star Road here. We can't predict when it's going to happen because we know how ACHD operates, and I hope there's nobody from ACHD in the room tonight.
I already know 2029, they're going to start working on it.
Are they?
Yep. It's in their budget.
For 29? Wasn't it when you and I first started talking? It'd be like 27?
No.
Okay.
It was 2035 originally.
Oh.
So they moved it up to 2029. They're going to
Yes.
go from Highway 44 to the river, and then 2030, they're going to continue the rest of the way.
Excellent. But I'd say excellent. That could be a two-edged sword. It's going to 5 lanes. We know that. So what a prime time to get in on design. And I guarantee you, once ACHD Once that's converted to 5 lanes, if this redevelops, access is going to become an issue. They're going to live at the access points to that. They may allow the existing access points, but I don't know if if it redevelops, if they'll allow them to keep those access points. So some of the key features, once again, include parks and open space. Your parks and open space in this Star Corridor is a portion of this, and it's actually in the next corridor, but all this will tie together in design. Include parks, open spaces near State Highway 44 and Main Street. There's a little area up there that's perfect for like a little park. I believe there's a canal that runs through there. It's quiet, it's peaceful. You can have pathways that interconnect State Street, interconnected River District, and also interconnect Star. Once again, restrictions on new fast food outlets, drive-throughs, gas stations, or car washes. Access is going to be restricted, and that's the last place I will say along Star is that for that entrance. Once you get, because you're essentially establishing this as downtown. They don't belong downtown. No apartment developments are permitted unless they're part of a mixed-use building. We've spoken about the mixed-use buildings where they're commercial, first floor, office, and residential. Emphasis should be placed on compatibility with existing residential uses. There's some nice homes in this area. There's some nice homes over on Main Street. And what you do is in design, you figure it out to the point to where it's something compatible. Continuation of the Mountain Modern Design Standards is represented in the Architectural Overlay District Guidelines, and the Star Road Corridor is designated as medium to high impact areas. Proposed uses: commercial retail, food, beverage, entertainment, professional, medical, and financial services, hospitality, visitor services, personal services, civic community services, mixed use, and residential support. Whether it's the mixed use building with residential above or residential support to existing residents, to the folks who are already living in proximity to the area. And recreation and specialty uses. You say, why recreation on Star? I believe there's a nice little park down at the end of the River District. So if it's recreation, it really ties well. Star Road Corridor, it's similar. I mean, on the left, you're looking at a 5-story building. Might be a little bit much, but like 3-story, the 2 to 3-story, I believe with proper design, you can keep those anywhere 40 to 50. And then some other photos that we were able to obtain for Star Road Corridor. There's like this 3-story building middle on the right is really not that high. Definitely has a mix of uses, and you have your single story and some 2-story as well. The Art District. The Art District's north of State Street and east of Star. Originally, we had this set up to not go past Frost Lane. Wow. And working with the committee, they requested that we move that line a little bit farther to the north and a little bit, if I recall, a little bit farther to the east. Set it up with a pathway that runs from, I believe it was it First Street? Over into the Village District. Oh, it's Frost Street to Star Road, and then connect into the Village District. What's important here, and it's going to get into this on implementation as well, is the importance of working closely with your community stakeholders. The stakeholders, we had a great meeting with the stakeholders. We had a great, in my mind, we had a great meeting with your community during open houses. I mean, they were amazing. Had a lot of great things to say, voiced some great concerns, and it was very positive. Here's what's key, and it says establish unique building and streetscape designs aligned with the art district, your architectural overlay district, your manual, the book. If this were to be adopted, what we would recommend is look at your architectural overlay book, the district book for your guidelines and possibly adopt guidelines for the individual districts. That way, I mean, when you get down in the art district, and you want the same thing. You want to be compatible with the existing residents. Some of those residents may be turned into little shops, converted to little shops or little retail outlets, or even little art studios. City should consider urban renewal initiatives, grants, or other tools to help upgrade roads, install sidewalks, and provide on-street parking. We all know how narrow the streets are down in that area, and there are no sidewalks, is my understanding. I've seen the pictures. It's tight. So what you do based on design, you might have a narrower street section, which isn't a bad thing because that actually acts like traffic calming. Maybe set it up for parking on one side, but get some pedestrian facilities down there as well. And then figure out an area for a parking lot. Proposed uses here: creation and production, exhibition and presentation, creative retail and artisan commerce, education, learning, community arts, live work. Once again, live work and residential. Because you have existing residential homes. Some of those folks, they don't want to go anywhere. So and that's their heaven. And I understand. I grew up here. That's important. So when you're integrating, if you're integrating different uses within these areas, you want to implement it so they're compatible with what's happening next door. Food, beverage, and social spaces, civic, public, and community service uses, outdoor and event-based uses. The one thing about, you get the right uses down there. I'm privileged. I don't mind staying home because I got an amazing wife. But there's sometimes it's either the wife or the husband that might want to escape to go down and have a coffee. I mean, right down within that area, or maybe the two of them want to go down together just to get out of the house and go enjoy coffee or go shopping or just enjoy, look at art. I mean, some of us have art all over our walls in our homes. We enjoy art. Or a little wine shop where you can go down and just relax in the evening and enjoy a glass of wine with your best. The art district, most of these, as you look at these, are single story. You might run into a 2-story if it's a live work unit to where they're going to put their office on the bottom or their little retail shop on the bottom floor and then live above it. And I'll give you a classic example of that. Not that I drink beer, but Gem State Brewery in downtown Eagle, that's what they did. That brewery in downtown Eagle, the people who own that brewery, when they built it, they live upstairs. They have a beautiful home upstairs. And that's kind of things, I mean, that's probably for the art district, that'd be a little bit intense because that place is really busy, but that's the general idea. The Village District. The Village District is a little bit more intense than the art district because what the Village District is set up to do is to provide a transition from the art district to where it's very, very low impact uses to you're transitioning to highway commercial. Is if you look at the west property line that's associated with the west boundary line for the Village District, beyond that is highway commercial. There's some big boxes out there. You have Albertsons. I understand one time there might have been a building facility, building store that was looking at that, but that is definitely highway commercial. And of course you have all your drive-throughs. So what Village District set up, pathway comes over, you start off soft, adjacent to Star, with low impact uses and kind of build up those uses, not to a high intensive use, but build up the uses to a medium impact use to kind of transition into that highway commercial area. So it's a potential continuation of the pathway from Frost Street, and that's from the art district, to the Friends Church Barn property in Star Road area. A small public gathering places once again, because it's going to be quiet and peaceful. Additional parking lots and potential park space. Partnership with Friends Church facility. It'd be great to set up a partnership with them to tie events and everything and work with them because everybody will benefit from that. And then it's definitely a low to medium impact area. Proposed uses, Creative and cultural uses, again, retail artisan, food and beverage, personal professional service, civic and community uses, education and childcare, live, work, and residential, once again. There's residences out down there who want to remain. And small scale commercial and business services. Small scale commercial, boutique. Something that's not high impact, very low key. Some uses, some buildings that could be possibly in the village district. Once again, you notice that most of these are basically 1 to 2 story. The one middle on the right, that's almost like a prairie style of architecture in my mind. And I would say that what looks like a 3rd story is more of an architectural feature than it is an actual story. Oh, the River District. You have a good start on the River District. I mean, the river house is down there. You got a beautiful park. You have parking areas. So one of the things that we looked at, I remember which button, Sean, is running along the eastern boundary line of the River District and adjacent to the large lake there. And I'm a fisherman, I can call it a lake because we can stretch it out and we make them bigger, would be a boardwalk. And a boardwalk that allows people to move freely north and south while other people are enjoying the beach or enjoying swimming. And you could actually possibly run small little, especially during the summer months, small little businesses along there that can benefit from people who are at the park, or even people who just want to walk down through there. There's all kinds of uses that you could put down there that are very low key and provide a benefit to the community. One thing that we looked at also is this Long Green linear park area. So that's halfway in between Main Street and Star Road. Those are huge lots. Now, there's a lot of folks down there in Main Street. They came out. They're all the Main Street folks. They love their large lots, but there may come a point in time where they want to downsize, and they might have the possibility to downsize without having to move. So possibly, what they could possibly look at is dividing their lot in half, allow the rear portion. Star Road folks do the same thing. So it creates this corridor. So you have all the commercial along Star, you have a mix of uses along Main. So you can create this corridor with this linear park, and you can put the parking, you have the linear park that runs north and south. You can put parking in there, you can put little shops in there. The shops from Star will benefit, and if there's any shops on Main Street, they'll benefit, but you also put small shops in here as well. And what's that do with the parking? Not only does it provide parking, but it hides it all. So if you're driving down either one of those streets, you're not looking at a sea of asphalt. The neat thing about the linear park, it also provides free pedestrian movement. Not saying that you have a great sidewalk that runs north and south on Main, but this also provides free pedestrian movement north and south behind everything. And at the northern portion of that little area right there, that's by the canal, that could be another little park to where people could gather. Proposed uses, recreation and tourism uses, of course. And you can do some recreation uses adjacent to that boardwalk that people can, I mean, if they want to get an inner tube, if they want to buy small tackle or whatever. Food and beverage, retail, local commerce, professional and business services, civic community uses, health and personal services. These are more lean towards the in between Star and Main there. And then residential and live work. Once again, I'm going to stress this point again. I'm going to hit it hard. Residential. We all know that there's residential homes on Main Street. There's some nice new homes on Main. And those people want to keep those homes. So you want to work on something that's going to be compatible with the existing uses. There's some of your River District uses. Some 2-story, maybe a little 3-story. I did notice when we came in on Main tonight, and I didn't even realize this, but off to the west, just as you come around that corner, it looks like there's some multifamily units back in there. And I looked at that and went, wow, I didn't even know those were back there. And then pathways, of course. And then if you look at the bottom right, this shows a view that would be from the highway corridor, State Street corridor, looking south to where you have that linear pathway that runs down through there, and then you have the uses on each side of that. And I think this takes us to the So we worked with a gentleman to produce some 3D renderings. And Jim, do you want to talk through this or just allow him to work through it? But if you look at the buildings on this, most of those right there are only 2-story. Sidewalks, good markings on the roads for pedestrians. Buffers, I mean, you have the planter strips and everything else, nice little plaza area that actually is on the, next to the building, but it actually provides somewhat of a private area to sit there and talk. I mean, if it's not on the main corridor, it'd be fairly quiet and peaceful. So this 3D rendering here, this is a linear park area where you run the pathway down through the middle. So you have the parking next to that, and then your buildings are outside of that. So it allows for pedestrians to move freely through the middle, hides the parking from the other streets. A little bit taller buildings. Once again, most of your parking's hidden. This is also where the linear park runs through the middle. That is, Sean. Okay. Implementation. How do we implement this? And I know Councilmember Solomon, you were asking about that when you reviewed the plan. It's the implementation. How do we get there? First of all, and we've spoken about this from the very beginning that our team has, you need to amend ordinances or adopt new ordinances, or I mean, basically modify them to implement this downtown visioning plan. One thing you need to look at is setbacks, height, design. Update city's comprehensive plan to include goals and policies for implementation of the downtown visioning plan. It's my understanding if the plan's adopted, it's going to be incorporated into the comprehensive plan. But with that being said, you still want to implement policies and goals associated with that plan as well. So that way, when the developer comes in, you already have all those plans and policies in place, because we all know what's the first thing you have to do when you're rezoning a property. It has to conform with the comprehensive plan. That's the very first thing. That's the findings you have to make. So if it's not conforming to established plans and policies or goals and policies, you can't make the finding. That's why it's so important to change the ordinances and amend your plan. Form a downtown visioning committee with community stakeholders, business owners, residents, and city officials to guide implementation and engagement. I was impressed when we met with the stakeholders and also your committees and commissions. There was 3 committees and commissions that were in attendance. It was a great discussion. It was really open. I mean, you have people down here, people who live here who want to get involved, and they will help you drive, the policies and the goals and keep them involved, because that's what you're here for. You're here to listen to stakeholders. I learned one thing a long time in community development. You're gonna have that one person, you might even have more than one. It basically is, you don't want to hear what they're gonna have to say. You don't want to listen to them because it's so negative, but I will guarantee you, they're gonna say at least one thing that you're gonna go, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't think about that. I really didn't think about that. And definitely, that's why you need to involve your stakeholders. And council member, once again, develop district-specific design standards that reflect each district's character and purpose, utilizing the architectural overlay district design standards. There are cities out there that have set up their downtown plans in districts, and they have specific design standards that are identified in that plan, and you'd utilize the guideline book to do that. I was familiar with working with Eagle Architecture Site Design Book. Hopefully my wife's not watching tonight. I'm not impressed with that book. It talks about the architecture greatly, but they have like 9 architectural styles. And it's troubling. I mean, I think STAR's done a great job saying, this is who we want to be and this is what we want to be. Capitalize on that. And then just adopt your standards for each district based on that design. Once again, hire and assign an economic development director or coordinator to lead the plan's initiatives and seek funding, ideally with grant writing and economic development experience. I do know for a fact having an economic development director, not only it's beneficial for you as the elected officials, but it's also beneficial for staff. It really helps them working towards, because it's, I can tell you as being a staff member for many years in the city, you always have the developers that come in, they just want to push that button. And they have great ideas, don't take me wrong, because they respond to markets much better than we do. But you're not set up for that response. So if you have the economic development person, they can coordinate and work closely with your staff, with the planning staff as well. And also with, the architectural guidelines and everything else. So you're all on a common goal to arrive where you need to be. Collaborate with city departments to connect resources and priorities with planned goals. Align key city resources with the plan's vision and priorities. Use the plan to set clear priorities for the annual budget and investments, including the general fund and capital projects. I heard a little bit of a whisper the other day. I heard you guys just went through a impact fee public hearing. I don't envy you, but part of doing impact fees is you have to do a capital improvement plan. And your capital improvement plan is not just, hey, this is what we're doing tomorrow. Capital improvement plans look to the future. So you're already set in that planning process. So part of this will be implementing or making sure if you have a project or want to see something, get in that capital improvement plan. Create an amenity and streetscape solutions plan. This is really important. You've heard me say it several times tonight, sense of place. The people said it loud and clear. They want to be active in your downtown, but you got to give them something that they can come and want to hang out. Enhance regulation enforcement and integration across disciplines and departments. That's always a fun one. When you talk about regulation enforcement, those are pretty strong words. How about persuasion? How about finding something within the plan? And Don, he'd worked with me on other projects over the years when I was down there. Some people are very black and white on the code, and I can get being black and white. But if you're going after design and trying to respond to a market, you got to, once in a while, you have to find the gray. Because you take the black letters and the white pages, you take those 2 crayons and mix them, it's gray. find a gray and stay within your code because that's how you make things happen. Examine the combined effects of funding and financing tools, identify opportunities to achieve multiple goals with single strategy. Build partnerships with community groups, nonprofits, employees, and local businesses support plan implementation. We missed one in there. Add the development community into this. They may not have a project here now, but they may have a project in the future. And the development community can bring a lot to the table. When we had the stakeholders, we had some members of the development community at that meeting, and they brought a lot to the table. Building, regularly monitor and communicate progress towards the plan's goals, providing annual updates, and use measurable metrics to assess implementation success and inform future decisions. I texted my wife earlier and I said, did I leave my water at home? And I know I'm going kind of on a tangent here, but I can tell you right now, I wish I had my water. No, I'm good. I'm getting to the end. I'm on the last slide.
That's good. You won't spit on us.
I know. I mean, my mouth's so. So funding. How do we fund this? Implementing the downtown visioning plan will rely on, and I'm going to read this one, diverse funding sources that promote public improvements and stimulate. Oh, you are the man. I was going to come give you grief earlier about your CIP. Just asking if you had one. I knew you did. I don't know how you get blessed and even get ice. So implementing the downtown visioning plan, the city should consider. And I know, even though it's a 3 acronym, and it's 3 words, and it's a tough, hard sell, but urban renewal districts, right now, I mean, I will tell you, in the city I worked in, they work really well. I do understand, I get it with the police and fire. I get it with the schools. Because when these things build up, yeah, it holds that tax and you hold your taxes here because all the rest of it's now going in to fund that project. But guess what? The state or somebody, and help me here, Mayor, somebody's got to figure out something that those guys aren't the ones being punished because they have to deal, as this thing grows, I'm sure they're not going to get calls. We all know that's not the truth. They have to work in patrol or fire safety or all that. Local improvement districts, LID, that's something that's voted on by the people within that district, whether or not they want to be part of an LID. Business improvement district, BID, is the same. No, there's a local CIDs, the community improvement districts like for Valnova and Avamore. It's not in municipal? And CID went much, oh, they probably did, and it went much greater. They set that up for these planned communities. Yeah, the ones that certain cities had to annex because they didn't want to sponsor them in the county. A mix of grants, tax credits, low interest loans, funding options from federal, state, and regional programs. Right now, it's tight. Funding options from federal and state. We know it's really tight in the state, but I think it's very tight in the federal right now as well. Tax incentives and redevelopment grants. Department of Commerce can help you with any of your grants. Partnerships with local groups and targeted incentive programs. Partnership with local groups. It doesn't hurt on some of these funding. Partnership, if you have a developer coming on a project and you need a parking area, a parking lot, or something else that will benefit the city, if you can, when you're applying for grants, that is huge. When you can partner with the private, where it's a public-private collaboration on a grant, these grant people, when they're approving grants, they love to see public-private partnerships. So maybe they can help you get a parking lot that they're going to need as well, and you can partner on that together. Collectively, funding options provide flexible resources for phase project execution, ensuring that public and private efforts bolster downtown Star's long-term viability. So, questions and answers? I do thank you. I told Jim, I said, you know, I'm so used to when I do a presentation, and I've done hundreds of presentations over the years, and I'm so used to just, I like having the dialogue as we go through it with the questions. Sometimes with the dialogue, you can go off on a tangent and you have to reel back in. But with that being said, do any of you have any questions at all?
Yeah, turn your microphone on though.
Thank you. That was
Councilwoman?
a very thorough presentation. Appreciate that.
You bet.
So regarding like the next steps and implementation, like we have that, what was it called, a greenway, that parkway.
Linear parkway?
Yep, the linear parkway. So as that area develops, it may be 1 or 2 parcels at a time. And so there would be breaks in it. So it would be just a section of that parkway, and then, so it would take years to be built out, to really connect one end to the other. So how do you see that happening, like so are you waiting until maybe the north half, it all gets, into this plan, all of it kind of develops, and then it's getting to that center area where there's a crossroad, or yeah, so I'm having a hard time seeing how it all gets built, because it's not all going to happen at one time. So maybe explain a little of that.
So Mayor, Councilmember Solomon, we get it. We understand that. But you may have a developer that comes in, and you're right. They may just do one property, or they may assemble 2 to 4 properties. And what would be important is you already have it identified in your plan. 2 to 4 properties would be ideal. One property, you're right, you're going to have breaks. It's no different than, and I'm not as familiar with Star as I was with Eagle. It's no different than building a pathway along a greenbelt pathway along the river. There's sections of pathway that may not be constructed. I mean, there's breaks. I mean, we went rounds. I'm not going to say who, and I probably don't need to say who, and you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But the greenbelt over in Eagle runs all the way from Eagle Road east, clear through the river district, down into Eagle Lakes and all that, Renovare. There's one little section. Oh, and Eagle River runs all through that. And there's one little section that's not complete. And what's insane and amazing about all this is the city offered to pay for that if he just would have given us access. But with that being said, it's no different than building a greenbelt. You have it in the plan. You
Just set
right.
aside that
You-
access,
right.
right? And that easement, basically public, yeah.
The other thing that's beneficial with that as well, it'd be ideal if somebody came in and just built it all at once. Or if the city, and it's, yeah, lots of money. What if the city was able to acquire the easement to go ahead and construct it all at once? But then the city, with maintenance and everything else, to do it that way. But if you have it in the plan, they set it up, they're maintaining it. They're, as far as the pathway or the sidewalk for that matter, the landscaping and everything else, it may come in piecemeal.
Yeah, more than like, and there's a lot of residential in there too. So there's
Right.
no way that
Right.
everyone is going to want to sell at
No.
the same time. Yeah.
But there might be the possibility too that,
Could money go into a fund? So, also kind of along that same line of like the art district or the highway corridor district or corridor. So, you mentioned parking is going to be a key piece that we're going to need. Like you look at the south of the river plan, we have this gorgeous plan. And as development comes in, it's like, well, we know that we want a green space. We know that we need a park, but it's always pushed down the road to the next project, right? And so I'm wondering, is there a tool that we could use in the future, that we would need to put in place that, say, for the art district, that the new developer comes in, they have to put money into a fund, just throwing it out there, like for art on the sidewalk. So say it's $1,000, for a that goes into this fund and then it promotes that art district,
Right.
right? And same with a highway corridor. So it goes, maybe I don't know if you can have a higher, like parking, requirements, like more spots that are needed. No, so if they're not able to be built on the site, then that where they're short, that it would go into a parking fund that would in the future fund a public parking area. So can you do something like that in these different districts?
Yeah, we do have that option right now in our code for the parking.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
like
for-
$6,000 a lot, I think,
So
that if they were short, that would go into a fund.
$6,000 a space?
Space, I'm sorry, not a lot, but a space,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, a space, if they couldn't park what they needed on site, right? And that is intended to go to a public parking.
Yeah.
But the other stuff, we could do all sorts of different things, in my opinion, like you were talking about. We just have to figure out the dynamics of what that
Yeah,
looks like.
yeah. So there may be some things available to help encourage, that small town feel that we're all looking to build. Yeah.
So, Mr. Mayor and council member, I'm going to put your clerk on the spot because I want her to tell me if I get out of line. I've known Shelley many years, because I lived in Jim County for a lot of years. I know she was clerk over there. So she understands budgets. I don't know if your treasurer is still here or not. You have a capital improvement plan. You can set that up as part of your capital improvement plan and start, correct me if I'm wrong, you can start setting monies aside that can roll from year to year. Are you already doing that?
Yeah, we can. And our capital improvement plan, though, is specific to those
Or,
specific, like parks,
Okay.
pathways, and
Yes.
police,
Yeah.
right?
So I
It's
guess
not,
for the
it's not a
pathway.
general city.
Oh, right.
improvement plan.
No, absolutely. And that's kind of where I was going with that. So if it's set up for, say, that linear park, possibly obtaining easements, or you might purchase a portion of the property. Maybe they don't need all that property. I mean, if you were willing to go in and purchase an area to run a linear park, you might be able to set that up as your, in your capital improvement plan, and then set it up to where you're setting money aside for years to the point to where you can come back and build that later. One thing, Mayor, $6,000, I will tell you, there's a city, and I'm going to say it again, Eagle, that was, I want to say theirs was, Sean, wasn't it like $5,000 if 46? So I know a planner down there really well that was tasked with going and doing a study to look at that again. And they went from whatever it was, 45 or $5,000 a space. I want to say they're now at, I want to say it's at least 18,000. Because if you think about it, all these have been in the code for so many years. Things have changed and costs have changed. I mean, you look at the price of land and everything now, and the price of materials and the price of construction, things have changed. So you may want to go take a look at that. I'd ask for the study that they completed. It was a pretty good study, and it was an eye opener for them. So that would help with your parking as well, because then you could use that money, say, developers come in and say, hey, we would like to have additional parking. Are you willing to partner with us? And then you can take some city funds as well as their funding and maybe even apply for a grant partnership along with money that are put up front. That would be great for applying for a grant.
Thank you. Another question. So you referenced like small scale commercial in a variety of these districts. And in our current code, we don't have anything that that spells out small scale, or do we? Like a definition of what small scale really means? Is that
Don?
correct? Or do we? No. So can you maybe give some recommendations of what how we could update our code just to give it, because I would hate to or the intention,
Mhm.
right? But if we had, say, a Trader Joe's to come in, well, over in the Village District, I don't think that that's a mom and pop type store that you're talking about.
31,000 square feet, that's her footprint.
Okay, but so then in our code, maybe we need to just look at the square footage?
Right.
Okay.
I mean, that'd be one way to regulate is through square footage for the commercial portion of it. What if it's, where you're doing.
Yeah, where live, work, then
Yeah,
that's
or even where if you're doing a mixed use building.
yeah, that would be different. Yeah.
But
But if it's a one
maybe each use
type-
not to exceed a certain square feet.
Yeah.
So in those 4 cities that you provided us information with, do they have a small scale commercial side on there at all?
I didn't dig into their code, but I'd be more than happy. It
Doesn't
doesn't
think
dig-
so, Jim? No? Because do you know of anybody that has that small scale that we can, I mean, why recreate the wheel if you can rip off and duplicate,
Yeah.
right? On something
Yeah.
like that.
Well, I'm
Some
with
to
you.
think about. Okay. Yeah. And it was more of a curiosity. So to see if you have any examples or where we could look, but yeah. So, okay.
I'll give you a classic example of small scale. So when I wrote the development agreement for Lakemore, or Lakemore is an Eagle, when you drop off the hill where the real theater is
Yeah.
and T-Sheets was there.
Oh,
So I wrote the development agreement for that originally. And in 2007, before the village was built, by the way, when we were going into the recession, Hoag McEwen came in and they were going to do a village on that site. And then the economy crashed, they went away. And then the village, they actually did one in Meridian, which I thought was a far more appropriate place for it, by the way. But when we are working through the development agreement, once you get the residential in there, this is where it's key. And I hear what you're saying, because you get in the art district and the village district and you're talking small scale. So they wanted, the people that came in, when we had to modify the development agreement, they wanted drive-throughs, and nobody in Eagle likes drive-throughs, by the way. But after going through COVID and everything, things changed after COVID, because that's the way the world has evolved. What we called them was low-volume drive-throughs. So what that does is it knocks out the Starbucks, it knocks out the Wendy's, it knocks out the McDonald's. I mean, all the, anything to do with coffee.
Defined it somehow.
Yeah, and what it does is it allows the city, you have that in a contract where it says low-volume drive-through. You could do the same thing possibly in this area to where you identify it with your policies. You might not even need to implement it in the code. Just identify it in the policies. I mean, it's stronger if you put in the code. It says, this is what we identify as small scale.
Mhm.
If you look at the comp plan in Eagle, and then it might be the same here, you get into neighborhood commercial, highway commercial, and they actually put max square footages of what you're going to allow in those developments. So you could do the same thing with like the districts.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not spelled out in this document. So would you recommend that it go into code then, or?
Code stronger.
Yeah. Or, I mean, where else would it go? If it's not this document.
Currently, we have it in our comp plan and our code
Oh.
for like the commercial areas. It's a maximum allowance of like a big box
Uh-huh.
commercial, and that's in the comp plan
Maybe in the comprehensive.
policies, and then also in the code. So you can do it.
We-
You can do
Yeah,
it.
we
both.
just, with that same thing and put it in both places. There's never a question.
And we can break it down per district.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Each different district's going to be unique.
Well, and here's what's great about this. I mean, everything you do has to comply with the comprehensive plan and the code. That architectural overlay district, look at that district. It's not just about your architecture. It's not just about your streetscape. You can actually put what you want to see in there for maximum
Size.
size. And then that helps you incorporate in code. So that way you have places.
Okay. All right. Those are my two big questions right now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys got questions? Not yet?
Public?
Okay. Well. Oh, yeah, that's a thing. Okay, all right. All right, do you have the sheets for me? Thank you there, sir.
Thank you.
Drink some water.
Thanks.
Did Ryan give them to you? I think it's just Denise, right? All right, Miss Denise. Floor is yours.
Water.
Chair Mike.
Just state your name and address, and it's not going to be timed, so you don't have to rush.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a lot tonight.
speaking
Denise Van Dorn, 1112. I know, I've been waiting and waiting.
Whole
and
art
waiting.
district.
11123 West Frost Street. You stop. Okay, so first of all, I want to commend everyone that was involved in putting this together, because it really is, I think, a wonderful start, much needed. And I think the district idea was a great one. And I really have spent a lot of time looking at all of it, so I understand it pretty thoroughly. I just needed to confirm that there will be a separate public hearing regarding the specific uses, correct? Yes. Okay, I know
May
you already
5th?
told me that, but
Okay,
I
is
gotta
that,
do it.
Sean,
Okay.
Sean, that's our code update stuff? Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah, because that's the piece that I'm really interested in looking at, obviously. So,
Did you have suggestions of that you've given to Sean already for that?
say it again?
Did you give, oh, sorry. Did you give Sean a list of suggestions that you may have for that district?
Uses.
For uses?
I guess what I do have an idea of what the uses are.
Make sure you talk on the microphone like
Oh,
I,
right.
yep, sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
I do have an idea of what the actual uses are. What I'm talking about are the standards. So what are they called?
The architectural standards,
Yeah, the design standards are not,
Not
we
design.
have to work on those. We have to update our,
Height, setback.
yes, height,
setbacks.
design standards, all that
Right.
as part of our,
That's what I'm really interested in.
part of our design guidelines. Those will come at a future date.
Okay.
We'll establish the uses that you and I spoke about today on May 5th at the public hearing for the code amendment.
Okay, so go ahead.
Is that something that, as a stakeholder, would you be more interested in going through that district by district?
Yes.
Is that-
I would.
That's the intent.
Yeah.
The intent is to have each district has their own design standard, right?
And uses.
Uses, yeah.
And
Yeah, I-
uses.
If we're going to do that, I would like to do them individually enough that we can clearly, so they're not muddled together as we talk about them in one night. Is that a thing? Something, break them into sections that are clear and defined so that we're not confused as to what standard is running into what district.
That makes sense.
Mayor,
And so did you have something?
would you be interested in being on that vision committee?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Because
You
maybe
might have
that was,
noticed.
yeah.
So.
yeah,
what's
but that might be part of,
Yeah.
that might be part of when we could do those definitions is through that committee. I'll
Okay.
get, just a thought.
Okay with you,
De-
Sean?
Denise has been very involved from the.
Sure.
I think our
Yes.
district idea came
She is
from this.
a-
Denise.
Really
Yeah.
appreciate all of her work. We even met
Yes.
this morning and went over a bunch of the uses and I
Well,
do not see why we will not continue to do that, but we will get a group together and
It is on the
Look forward
record
to it.
now, though, that you are interested.
Oh, which?
It's on the record that you may be
Oh, I know.
interested in being
I
on
was
that
talking right
committee.
into the mic too. Okay, so the question I have is procedurally, if sounds like going to adopt this tonight, okay, so this is like the comp plan. Then if those have not been solidified, the uses, so what happens with an application that comes in between now and then?
Probably not going to accept it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we've done that on many occasions. Even while we're working on our comp plan stuff, we've been delaying a lot of things until we can get that stuff done.
Right.
And
makes sense.
this is important for us to adopt the plan as it's presented and then continue on with the design stuff with that and get that adopted before we accept them so people know what we're dealing with
Right,
on that. Because we don't want hodgepodge going on inside all that.
right. That would be really hard.
it's important. The one thing that the 2011 plan didn't do is it didn't follow up. It basically got shelved and until we dusted it off a couple years
The
ago.
2011 plan?
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
Because there was no interest until all of a sudden there's interest and it was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
Now
So
now we
we-
gotta figure it out. But now that we know, we get, this is the first step, and then we can
Right.
put all the meat and bones into
Right.
that whole thing, so everybody's on the same page.
And I think
how
that's
it went
what's
about.
so great about this, is that it's just a great starting point where we haven't really had that before.
Right.
So that's terrific. I do have a question. I did notice in two areas. One was specific to the art district, I believe, partnership with LifeSpring Church. What does that specifically mean?
You know, Sean, I'm not.
Maybe the word partnership is not correct. Maybe it's just coordination with with LifeSpring Church and with Friends Church is to have that be part of the community. There's the ability to have parking, to have, shared parking with them, to have pathways, to have open space, things like that, to have events, to have, community gatherings and things like that. That's what we mean by partnership or coordination.
Okay, and then one other question. I've done a lot of research and looked at different communities. And it seems like the common thread is, and I caught something earlier, so maybe I'm saying something that isn't that popular, but urban renewal.
Yeah, I hate him. I'm gonna get on the record. I'm not a fan of him. He's trying to sell me on him. I get it, but I'm gonna hear your opinion on it.
I'm going to do some more research and talk to some more people. It seems like that's a common thread and appears to be fairly successful. So, because grants are there, but they're tough to get sometimes.
Yeah,
So-
the challenge I have with urban renewal is what the state has done with them as well, where you could only get 80% of the value now instead of 100%. Fire definitely has challenges, but and the challenge you have now is the legislature has come in there, allow fire to request to be excluded from the urban renewals, but urban renewals are not granting these exclusions and causing issues with our public safety on being able to, because you're building these things up and they still have to service it, but yet they're getting no extra dollars to service that, and that's creating a problem,
Okay.
right? And so I think there's a lot of things that need to be fixed
Mhm.
with urban renewal, in my opinion, to make
Mhm.
them successful. I know there's a lot of places that have them, but there's a lot of challenges that are associated with that as well, in my opinion. On
Okay.
that. So
All right. And
do your research, because I would love to hear what you have to say about it.
Okay.
Because all I do is I listen to him beat me up about it over there, but I also listen to the fire guy side and development side, and I want to see. I really want to know what your opinion is coming
Okay.
from the citizen side on what you think on that urban renewal.
Okay.
So
Will do. All I got.
stay strong. Yeah, thank you. All right, Richard, did you want to speak at all? Yeah, that's what we're on right here. Yeah, yep.
Straighten us up.
And just state your name, sir, and address, please, for the record.
Richard Tinsley, 10459 West Achelia Street, Star. I
Okay.
want to thank the mayor and the council for the job that you're doing down here at Freedom Park. That's excellent. You're doing a damn good job. You're putting Star on the map, and it's a real jewel. Okay, now I've fanny patted you a little bit. I want to get to the part where I want some direction. In this man's plan here, you got the art district and the historic district, they're both on the north side of State Street. Okay, here's my plan. We need some sidewalks. We need some improvement. Now, somebody's up there thinking, oh, dummy, the sidewalks are taken care of by ACHD, but there's no reason why the city of Star can't go in, put in some improvements to make that old town look appealable to somebody that wants to put some money in the form of a business or who knows what, all right, to bring revenue into the state. And I'm just asking you, four of you to kind of concentrate on that, those two districts, all right? Keep going on what you're doing down here on the river, because that's working real well. But concentrate on that old part, because for the last 15 years, maybe even go back 10 years, every time you get a group of people from Star together, they want to feel the Old Town Star. Well, the Old Town Star didn't have a stoplight. Now we got like, what, 4 of them?
You're not wrong.
That kind of vanished in reality. But if you could take that old part of town and rejuvenate it and maybe spruce it up with some sidewalks or a bike path or something you guys can come up with. Maybe get code enforcement, go in and trim some trees or whatever. Just give it some eye appeal for somebody that's looking for an area in downtown Star to establish whatever. Thank you very much for your time.
So I would just tell you that this urban renewal conversation we were just having helps with that sidewalk issue you're talking about, right? And so this is where we got to figure this out a little bit on how the funding is going to come in from the city instead of from ACHD to make that happen, right? So that's where Ms. Denise, I'm waiting for her input.
Okay, the budget's coming up here in July, August, the city budget for next year.
No, I know.
Okay, well, I can get my wife and this one over here, and they can find you some money someplace.
Not enough money to do all the sidewalks you need to get done. And I will say, if you really want to keep Old Town Star, that's no sidewalks. Gravel roads, stuff like that.
No, we won't go back that far.
You don't want to go back that far. All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Robin, did you want to say anything? You said no, but. It went, okay. All right. Anybody else want to say anything? Go ahead. Come up here and state your name and address, please, sir.
I'm Steve Burton, 6915 Canyon Bend Court, Star.
Hang on, sorry, 6915, Steve.
Yes,
And what was that? What was
Canyon Bend Court.
Canyon Bend? All right, go ahead, sir.
So
Thank you.
just a couple of comments. So I read the presentation today earlier, and I came tonight kind of thinking I would hear a couple of things, and maybe you've already done it. Maybe it's coming up in the future, but an architectural theme. I thought that would be one of the recommendations coming from the consultants. And because, the classic model downtown renovation was over at Leavenworth, Washington, where they took an apple growing community, apple packing, all that town, and they turned it into that Swiss alpine themed, and it's magnificent now. That's the kind of thing I was wondering if you're heading towards. Are you going to come up with a theme?
Yeah.
Or star?
Let me answer that real quick, because that's what we were talking about before with Miss Denise, is that each of these districts is going to have that theme established after this.
Okay.
Yeah, with the setbacks, the design standards, all that kind of stuff.
So you're thinking 3 different themes rather than 1 different theme or
Yeah.
5 different themes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we want,
But they may end up being all the same. Who knows once they get through
yeah,
them.
we want to keep State Street and Star Road with the Mountain Modern theme that we have going now, but then have distinct themes for or design standards for the art, the village, and the river district.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was my comment. I mean, you have basically your 3 themes. I see the village, the arts, and then the river. And then the corridors just kind of separate them. Are you thinking about interconnectivity?
Yeah.
Are we going to have overhead sidewalks, underground to try
You're
to?
going to walk across the street and play Frogger.
Well, hawk
No.
lights and things like hawk lights.
Yeah, we'll
and-
have hawk lights and things like that. They're across here to help get us across the street.
We drive here in Star.
Except for Kevin Hill Drive.
Now,
drive
that
everywhere.
doesn't mean though, Steve, that
honest.
you don't get buildings on both sides that create a walking bridge, but that's a whole nother animal I think that we have to talk about on that.
With these main corridors, I'm not sure a sidewalk crossing is going to work. Anyway, that's my comment.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Anybody else want to comment? Yep. Oh, when did you sneak in here, sir?
If you guys look at Front Street in Myrtle in downtown Boise, those hawk lights or those lights crossing those streets work very well to connect.
Yeah, they do good.
Odo with the rest of downtown. So they do work.
So just state your name and address.
Rich Gerard, 675 North Ramey Creek Avenue. One, kind of a comment. I sat in on a couple of the committees or roundtables talking about this. And I was under the impression that Main Street was the one street that was going to be used for pedestrian traffic getting down to the river house, and that corridor would be your pedestrian walkways, maybe even restricting on traffic. You got Star Road, it's going to be a 5-lane road. That's going to be your mobility road for getting people around. Main Street can be a pretty limited amount of traffic and have traffic calming. But I see, it was my understanding that was what they were looking at. I see Main Street as being a corridor there, much better than the green belt down through the middle. Looks nice, really be great. But as you pointed out, the chances of you getting that isn't that great. I really believe that you guys would be better off to look at Main Street as a pedestrian corridor and businesses and stuff accordingly. Yeah, that's my take on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else want to speak? Huh? Did you have, well, we'll have Mike come back up here and then we'll ask him questions. Stuff. No one else wants to speak, Mike.
We ran out of people.
We ran out of people.
I'm disappointed because usually when I have to do presentations for public hearings, the whole room hates me. This is amazing.
We're not done.
You know,
We're not done. I like it. I like it.
it's because,
Yeah, there you go.
it's because
So
of all
once
that.
again, for the record, Mike Williams with South Beck and Baird. So one thing, Sean, could you find me the slide with the highway corridor showing that State Street corridor, I'm sorry, showing that district? Otherwise, I'll be in trouble with you later. Great input from the three individuals. I'm with Richard. We do need sidewalks. I understand that. There's plenty of right of way down there. But that's a huge cost right now. I believe the city will eventually get there, either working with the developers and God help us, ACHD, but anything you do within their right of way, they have to approve. But that would be awesome because that's what the old town's about. That's what you're going to try to achieve as part of your implementation. Architectural theme, heard that loud and clear. I heard modern loud and clear every time.
Well, Mountain Rustic is what has come up before too. We talked about that a lot. So that's the one when we get into these little individual areas
Right.
where you're going to probably see more of that Mountain Rustic look in there.
Recommendation, when you start working towards implementation and working on your district overlays and your design standards, don't get really carried away. Try to keep it minimal. I mean, maybe 1, 3, 4. 4 is probably almost too many, but I think that's what they're finding out in Eagle. It's just too much. And there's only about 3 that ever get utilized, and you can capitalize on those 3, essentially do it right with those 3, just with the elements, with the architecture. Main Street for pedestrian, I get it. But with that being said, more pathways you have, the more sidewalks you have, the more pedestrian friendly this community becomes. Main Street's well-established sidewalk. That was part of the 2011 plan. Great sidewalk. What happens if they want to get from there into, say you start establishing that corridor area of businesses coming off of Star Road back in there with parking areas, they will not be able to get from Main Street because if you have all the residents that's down there, and there's a lot of them, they're not going to want anybody cutting through their properties to get to those. So more pathways and more sidewalks, the better. Yes, I understand. It it could take a while, but it's good to have it in the plan. So if the opportunity arises, it's there. And I always look behind my back because when I was a city planner, I loved exacting or exaction. You have it in a plan, you just hold that up and say, hey, you know, this is going to be part of your conditions of approval because we have it in our plan. So whatever you're designing, you need to make sure that this happens. Because if you already identified it in your comp plan, your pathways plan, your downtown visioning plan, it's really good for your conclusions of law when you're making your findings, saying it's in conformance with the plan. And if they understand, I was always told by the development community, if they knew up front what you're looking at, what you're requiring, you can hold it up in the plan, they are fine. It's when you hit them with a surprise, they're not fine.
All right. Can I
With that,
jump
I'd
in?
stand for any questions.
Yep, go ahead, Councilman Wheelock.
I gotta, with Rick, I am probably on that same page. I'd rather see him put the sidewalk down the other side of Main Street. They've already got the traffic calming stuff there. I think that pathway is more work than it's worth having for me. I would recommend that not being a part of this, only because I see the traffic calming that we've got on Main Street already being effective. The up down walking past that, ideally that's not going to be high traffic. Relatively, it's all more traffic than we had 30 years ago. I think it ends up making the three property owners that don't sell the enemy. And I don't love that part, to be right honest.
I
That being
think,
said with the pathway,
just real quick though, they will be required no matter what to put a sidewalk down that west side of Main Street.
for sure,
For sure. I think,
I'm just suggesting that they use
I
that
think when you
instead of
look-
the pathway.
right, when you look at this right here, it's kind of misleading
Right.
because it doesn't show that, because it shows the existing other one and then the pathway in the green space. It's kind of misleading because I can see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
I think we just need to fix that.
ACHD is going to require sidewalk on.
No, I get
that side
that,
of
but
Main
this is
Street
our plan.
anyways. Yeah.
Right, this is our plan. I think we just need to dictate that that is a sidewalk right there.
And Mr. Mayor, that's a great point. Also, there's probably already sections in the code that require, it's not just ACHD, there's probably sections in the code. And if you're doing a conditional use permit to intensify use, that's part of, I'm going to go right back to it. That's part of your findings. I mean, if sidewalks need to be built, they need to be built because you have to move pedestrians.
Yeah, I'm assuming that sidewalk's going to be there. I
Yes.
don't want to pretend that I didn't know that that would be a sidewalk on both sides of that road, but I just assume that be the pathway that is not down the middle of the backyards of people, making them the enemy of Star City. I'm not a fan of that. It's private property rights for me over, well, we've got three more pieces, we'll just eminent domain them, and
Oh, no,
that's not a thing.
No, you don't do that.
It's never going to be a thing for me, and it just makes those three properties or whoever doesn't sell the bad guy. So that being said, I want to talk more about the north-south corridor and the connectivity on the State Street corridor. You're talking, what are they called? Hawk lights? What do we have in front of the Merc now?
It's a hawk light.
Okay, are you talking about adding more of those?
That or similar, whatever ITD is going to allow us to add. Going to be up to ITD's discretion on that, yes. Well, no, it's ITD because it's state highway. Yeah. I guess what's your question?
How often can you put those? Because I
Well,
think
that's a,
one at Star Road that we can cross at the light, then at the Merc, then,
I think there's going to be, I mean, we have crosswalks that are already along here. And so whether it looks like a hawk light or a flashing beacon light or lights in the road, there's all sorts of different options that are there that we'd have to work through with ITD after they get the widening done out of here. Yeah.
okay,
Because
so,
it's not, all those lights, all those hawk lights are not part of their environmental study to get this project done.
with that being said, is there an option of splitting the corridor north and south parking wise.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that we're not planning on people playing Frogger.
Yeah.
As a general rule, this is not part of the plan. Park where you have to at the Merc and run across the street. Good luck.
Well, I think that's always been part of what our plan is. To get
Just curious where that fits
south.
into the plan word wise.
Where the location, we don't know yet.
Word wise, not location.
Yeah, word wise, yes.
Okay. Okay. Those are my 2 or 3 highlights for me. I do think defending the heights that are currently approved or approvable. I think in my last understanding, we were at 35 feet, maybe 45 feet with exception is the general rule.
Is that what it was?
And you can accept up to 60, but
35 is the standard. You can go up to 60 with council approval.
okay. Yeah. So assuming that that's an exception, not the rule, right?
Conditional use permit. Isn't that what you utilize?
Right, but in the presentation, it felt like it was assumed that it would be approved over that real easy, is what I got from it listening.
And Mayor and Councilman Wheelock, I apologize for that. When he told me 60 the other day, I'm just like going, wow. But I knew you went through a conditional use permit for said project that was downtown. And that was so that told me right there that they have to go through a process. But you still want to establish, I mean, it's already established by code, 35, and anything above that, you're going through a conditional use permit, and that won't change.
Perfect. I'm in the crane business. I like high.
I know, I was waiting
But-
for that. It's just like,
But the
what's up?
reality is, I'm the same as everybody else, not in my backyard.
Councilmember, I was surprised that you were saying that.
Thank you.
You bet.
Hey, Councilman Day?
I just kind of want to follow up on that as far as, you talked about, through our main corridor right here in the middle of town, right? By the Merc or, either side. Businesses. And then at some point, living apartments or whatever it is, balconies that are on 44 on State Street. In my mind, I'm like, I don't know, that, turns into a Mardi Gras situation. You know what I mean? You got like, what does that look like? You got people, do I really want to look up and see people's laundry hanging off a balcony when I'm coming down through the middle of my town? So for me, it's hard for me to picture that, people living up there because it's not always going to be pretty.
Well, it can be designed pretty. I guess I don't have an issue with a balcony up above or no different than having a rooftop outdoor amenity
Yeah.
up on the top. It's all in the way it's designed and how you create that space on there.
Yeah, I'm just saying, balconies become storage units for apartments and whatnot, and it would just,
But you could dictate that in a conditional use permit too, on exactly what can be and not be on those things.
yeah.
And Mayor, may I follow up on
Yeah.
that as well? So Mayor and Councilmember Day, I know exactly what you're saying. Typically, and I used to hear this all the time when we we're doing multifamily, those people, well, all of us were those people at one time. But when you're looking at the demographic of the folks that are going to be living in these kind of, for lack of, I'm not even going to call them apartment residents, because they might be condominiumized, or they might even be leased out. The demographic based on the cost of the people living there, you're not going to see the laundry and everything else. And it's just like the mayor spoke to, it's about design. Most of these folks, what they do is, you're talking, and I know what you're saying, I hear it loud and clear, because you drive down anywhere in this valley and all the rails that are on the side, they're always hanging their laundry, their towels or whatever. They got their bikes out there and everything else. When you're putting something next to a traffic corridor that has that much traffic, they're typically, and I'm going to go back to Gem State Brewing, if you look at their little patio out front, they literally have a sound wall that comes out, I want to say it's approximately 4 feet. Because Crystal, who worked for the city for a long time, in fact, she used to work in planning and zoning. It's her husband and her that own that. And she's not really tall. And I know it's right up there with her. And the reason they do that is they establish a sound wall, because when you have that kind of traffic, you want that sound wall because you don't want to really listen to the traffic. It's there, but it buffers it.
Right. I just want to be clear. I'm not talking like I'm against people living in
Yeah.
apartments. That, my kid lives in one, right?
We
So,
all have.
I'm just talking about like a main corridor,
Right.
like coming down through our town. Is that the appropriate place
Mhm.
to have them? That's all I'm saying.
Well, no, I understand because you get these, you put everybody in, the multifamily that's down here along 16, I believe is in City of Star. They did it. I've never really looked at architecture till I married my wife. I really didn't care about architecture, and now I have to live with it. But those are really nice. But you can take away, and you're absolutely right. You put that on a corridor, you have these beautiful buildings, and you got everybody shoving all their garbage, and for lack of better words out there, it really takes away. So that could be part of the approval process, like the mayor spoke to.
Yeah.
Steve, if it's like bicycles, if we're worried about that, you put in the code in this area that they must have a bike room, that these things have to be stored in. I mean, this is what other communities do, that they can't be out there, right? There's different ways of addressing exactly what you're saying, without limiting the ability of creating something that's a vibe for downtown, that's going to make the downtown successful, right?
Right,
With some of the housing that you're
I'm
going
just
to,
saying we don't want it to be
You
trying
don't
to do
want it to be
something
trash.
unsightly.
you just don't want it to be trash.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but there's ways to make it so it's not
You don't
that.
need somebody walking down, kids will be kids, right? You don't need somebody walking down, going into a nice shop on 44 and all of a sudden something wet hits them, from a balcony above. You know what I mean? Law enforcement, I've seen it all, just like the chief back there.
Remember, I've been.
Seen a
law
lot of dumb
enforcement as well.
stuff.
I've seen it too.
Right? So that's where my mind goes when, like I said, Mardi Gras, you see those people up top and.
Well, we don't do Mardi Gras here.
No, I know you
It'll be
don't,
just
but-
on the 4th
but
of
it's that
July.
vibe. It'll be that type.
It'll be the 4th of July.
4th of July. It'll be that vibe.
And Mayor, council member Day, when you said that, I'm thinking, is this a new event that they're going to create to bring people in?
Right?
Anyway,
Uh,
one request, any more questions?
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman?
just to add, maybe you can add on after I say this a little bit, but when we started this project, it was originally called the Downtown Revitalization Plan. And as we moved along, and got a lot of the community input, we saw that, right now it's not so much of a revitalization plan. And so when you look at other plans, some of these details that you're talking about, those are in that revitalization plan. But this plan, we've adapted it. It's not a revitalization plan. It's like the title of a vision, right? And so, like all those details, they'll come later, but we are through this process, right now, like again, Star is still very young. We were incorporated in 97. And we have grown a ton, and there's, like older businesses and then the newer ones. And so right now it might feel like a hodgepodge, and this is a perfect time and need for a vision. And so in my opinion, I think that this document, we don't want to get into a lot of the details, and there's a lot of people that live in this area too. And so we need more collaboration with them as we move forward, like with these districts, to see, you're the ones living in this area. What type of, buildings and design and amenities do you want in your neighborhood that you're going to continue to live in? And so I guess I just want to remind, all of us that, because I know as I reviewed it, I was kind of disappointed because in the plan itself, in the text, because I was expecting more details, more, more things that as we sit up here and make decisions, that we could say, you know what, that's not in the plan. And so, you know, or it isn't in the plan, and so it helps us make our decision. But this document here isn't, we're not at that point yet. So this is really just a vision. And as the first step so we can hold on to that small town. I'm going on a rant, aren't I? So thank you for sticking with me. So I guess I'll just go ahead and end there. And if you wanted to add anything.
And Mayor Chadwick and Councilmember Solomon, thank you. And all of us read through your remarks. And I looked at that and I'm like going, whoa.
There were some harsh remarks I had.
No, there were, but I'm going to go right back to, there may be one person you don't want to hear from, but they're going to say something to really make you think about it. But I'm going to say something right now to make you, and I'm glad that you understand that now, because in my mind, it is, and I'm going to call me what I am. It's not up to the hired guns to walk in and tell you what to do. We'll help you with establishing a vision, but this is your community. Your community needs to own this. Your community, I mean, she left. That woman is great.
Denise,
I love
yeah.
her. I mean, I had quite a few conversations with her, but you have some amazing citizens here. And it should be up to those committees and those folks. This is what we want to see. We'll help you start the vision. Now put in everything to implement that vision. Then it's theirs. And they can walk by that when it starts to build out and say, you know what? It's so cool to walk by or drive by something that you were part of and say, I was part of that. I mean, that goes down generations.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, Council, love it or Eagle at one time, downtown Eagle was the hodgepodge that you're talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
It was, and Mike and I know it more than anybody else probably in this room. But without a plan like this, you would not have those street trees or those benches or the downtown park or those design guidelines that make Eagle a very unique little downtown. But and not saying make Star exactly like that by any means, but they had no plan. And now look at that, and it's taken 35 years for that plan
I was
to
just
slowly
shy of 20.
come into play. But they started with the plan just like this.
Yeah.
And Nancy Merrill, Mayor
She's back.
is the one that started that with her vision, and it's
Yeah.
blossomed.
And I would just add,
Love it or hate it, I said.
I was expecting out of this process, out when we first started it, that we would have like sidewalk cross sections, we would have like maybe what our light poles in the area would be, benches, what they would look like, garbage cans, all those details. But as we as we kind of got the project going, you just see that we weren't at that point yet. And so that's the next step is getting into each district and figuring out those specifics. But right now like we need a vision. And I think that this has done a pretty good job with that. So.
Okay, I do want to ask.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do we want to, okay, but I guess I'll add too about the Greenway, green space corridor. We added this in there because that is kind of, everybody talks about that community, green space, open space gathering, walkability, feeling like, you don't want to, it's more pleasurable to walk not alongside traffic. And so that green space there, corridor, it helps create that feel. And I understand it's going to be very difficult to actually put that in the details of implementing it. And that's good, I don't know how we're going to do it, but I think that corridor is very important to help hold on to that community, small town gathering, just another way to, you know, get our residents, allow them to gather, connect. Yeah, just so.
I mean,
Just
Mr.
gonna
Mayor,
add
Mr.
that.
Mayor and Council, let me remind you that that idea actually came from the neighbors. That came from Gary Avis and some of the neighbors on Main Street to have that corridor. That's not something that staff is just throwing at you to do.
Mhm.
It came from the community.
And when I first saw that, you know, so I have been on the visioning on the committee, you know, part of this whole project. And so it's like, it was like, what is this? And so it does take a while to like get your head around it, but I would not recommend removing it from the plan here tonight. Maybe it's a further discussion. But yeah, I'd like to see that it stays in.
Okay. I do want to ask a question though. Your historic Veterans Square. I don't know if that's necessary right now because we had just put in the way you have it described, we just did a big Veterans Garden down at Freedom Park. I think this needs to be redefined into something different.
Mr. Mayor, that was actually my input because that was what was proposed by the developer on Poplar and Main Street was to have
It's like the
have
outdoor-
have the plaza with the fountain, the veteran fountain right there. That's what that is.
That's what that means.
Yeah, it's not to compete with the Veterans Garden by any means, but that's what that, and we can better define that or just take it out and call it the plaza. And
I think we take it out and call it a plaza.
that was actually my
And
input.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, because that was the very question, because I'll say it. You can ask my wife. I live on Facebook. I post all the time. I mean, Steve, you've seen it. Yeah, uh-huh. Make it a great day. Anyway,
Make it a great day.
so I have City of Star on there. I watch everything because it's amazing what you folks are doing. And I saw that not only on Facebook, but I saw it on 2 separate news channels. And it was this big veteran. So I asked Sean yesterday or whenever we met, I said, you just did a Veterans Square. Are we supposed to be still doing a Veterans Square on the north side? Because you just did this whole veterans. Yeah, I was trying to grasp that.
The City of Star loves our veterans.
We do love our
Absolutely.
veterans. I just don't think that's the appropriate term for this spot, in my opinion.
then-
So if we need to redefine it, I'd say we pull it out and redefine
And
it.
Mr. Mayor and council, then one more
Plaza.
request.
Yeah.
If you, I understand that. Sean, when we met the other day, he did request, darn it, put me back. Sorry, whoop. Too many buttons on here, Sean. Right here, and I kind of got it centered. See that little activity node that's right there at Poplar and State Street? That is not shown on the plan that we submitted to the city. And Sean requested that we add an activity node in that spot. Maybe that's the plaza area. There you go.
Underneath those sycamore trees.
Oh,
Is
that's
that where?
perfect spot.
About?
Yep. Yep. Okay.
So Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman?
are you saying that to keep this section in here,
No.
just change the name of it or just pull it out?
No, remove it because it's
Okay.
not, it just needs to be defined different for historical, not necessarily with all the veteran stuff in there. Just because we already have that big,
Right.
beautiful area.
Yeah.
For that.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
I'm fine with further discussions about that pathway, but I'd lean to not, to be right honest.
Well, and I think as you develop the standards for that, I think that's where we really take a look at that on there.
Yeah, that's a good
'Cause
idea.
Yeah, because
So-
I look at that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I look at that though, Councilman, we locked that, that's not necessarily a whole linear straight thing. It could be something where businesses go in and this thing does this coving of a pathway throughout the whole development. I mean, there's a whole lot of ways of doing that to create that connectivity there. And I get it. Some people may not sell and then whatever, this doesn't happen, you know? And I don't think you're allowed to do eminent domain for a path. That's not legal in the state of Idaho just so you're aware on that.
But it also makes the guy that doesn't get in the bad guy. And I
Not
don't love
necessarily.
that.
I don't think so.
Just use that example in Eagle for the exact same in a path or the
That,
Eagle,
that they didn't sell or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's entirely their right not to do that.
But they have the attitude that let's not have a green belt along our river because we might not be able to get those. That properties is not a real
it's
smart way to.
it's
to
my
plan.
way.
No, it is, and
And I'm okay with
your-
that.
I
It's not
respect
my-
your, I respect your.
I get a vote here.
But I respect your opinion, but that's the reason for putting it in.
You gotta come up here though to talk. You're a city planner. What's wrong with
I feel
you?
better too. And been elected official. And Councilmember Wheelock, I did use that for an example because it was a freebie for them. They're going to develop that property. And in fact, they've already ran an application through for the development of that property. And they will be paving the pathway because that will be it's a condition of development. So, yeah, I was just using an example. Sometimes they don't get all completed at once, but that is actually set up in an area that recognizes it to be a pathway.
Okay. Thank you. More comments? Questions? All right. Then it's 9:21. I'm going to close the public hearing, go to council deliberation for approval of the plan or denial of the plan. It's up to you guys.
All right, if nobody's gonna
Go ahead.
jump in.
Councilwoman?
So I've already, I think, said quite a bit, and I think everybody kind of understands I think that this is a great first step towards our a true vision for our downtown area. This is the beginning of starting. There is history here, but this is a great beginning to, vision for long-term, like history building, So I love the idea of the districts. And so I'm going to just go ahead and make a motion that we approve the downtown visioning plan as presented, except for the change to remove the historic Veterans Square section.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Oh, sorry. Oh, and you know what? I'm sorry. And to add the node, to add that plaza node, that activity node, sorry. Can I do that or do I need to amend any? Okay.
No, we got a motion. Do we have a second? I guess, let me ask a question. Are you guys not willing to adopt it? If you're not willing to adopt it, the motion fails and it dies and it doesn't adopt. If we're really at that point, what's the concerns? Because we've had, just tell me what the concerns are if you don't want to adopt it so we can know where we need to go with this. Are you not comfortable with it? Because I thought we were okay with it.
I'm okay with 99% of it. The pathways, you told us we were going to work on that
Yeah,
at a
that'll be
future
worked-
date.
Yeah, that's going to be worked on. We can
I
work
want
on
to
that.
get that in this motion somehow to say that.
Okay, then we need to
Oh,
just,
okay.
I want to make sure it's revisited.
so you just need to say in there, in your motion, that we're going to.
Okay, so
What's that district called? River District?
River District path,
Path, the linear path.
linear path. Yes.
all right, so I will amend my motion to add that further discussion. We'll have further discussion
On the linear path.
on the linear path
In the River District.
in the River District.
Right. That's what you wanted, right? Okay.
Okay, leave it at that. Yep.
And with that, I will second it. And make no mistake about it, I love the whole thing. I love the districts. I'm totally good with that. I'm looking forward to the design parts in each one and possibly matching them in each other to not have the same district in all of them, but maybe 2 or 3 of them be matching would be my opinion. rustic mountain and modern mountain both between the 3 or 4 of them, I think is a good plan. And I would second that with a smile.
Thank you. Thank you for the second with a smile.
And I agree with what Councilman Wheelock said.
Okay.
It's a beautiful plan, and I know it's going to be fluid. Like you were saying, it could be the meandering pathway that he's speaking about. So there's a lot of things to work out.
Right.
But the plan is amazing. And speaking with the people, not to drag this out, but at the second open house, speaking to those people, they were pretty excited about it. And people that I've spoken in town are excited about it as well. Now that they understand how it works, that nobody's going to be forced to leave their home or forced to sell their home.
Right.
So they're happy with it.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any more? Okay, roll call.
Day,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Simonson.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. All right, we are at the last item, which is adjournment. It is 9:26, and we are done with our business for tonight. Thank you. Thank you to our consultants. Thank you. Appreciate you.